So I made a bunch of videos about the warp modes in Serum 2, and these are not deep dives. It's just like 20 seconds of here's what it is, here's what it sounds like. Did anybody ask me to do this? No. Did I learn stuff? Yeah. So check it out. Let's talk about FM, or frequency modulation. You know the thing that lives on the warp menu that sounds like this, or down an octave, or down another octave? If oscillator A was trying to play a smooth note, then FM is oscillator B grabbing it and shaking it like 1,000 times a second. And the warp knob is how hard it's shaking it. And you can always just throw a chaos LFO in there just for fun. Next up on the warp menu is going to be PD, or phase distortion. It sounds like this. So if FM was shaking the note, then PD is like stretching time. It takes a smooth, clean wave and squishes it and stretches it, but because it's altering time and not pitch, it stays perfectly musical, and it just gives you these really cool digital textures. So now let's do a amplitude modulation. It's pretty simple, right? It's just turning the volume up and down. It's kind of like a tremolo effect, but if you do it like 1,000 times a second, it adds this crazy fuzz layer without touching the original noise. So unlike FM and PD, it doesn't change the actual shape of the wave. So your sound can stay super clean, but it still have some character. So finally we have RM, which is ring modulation. And this actually multiplies the sound kind of like AM, except for it's going to be more hollow, metallic, almost like a bell sounding thing. It's actually replacing the original notes with these mathematical ghost notes, and it kind of sounds like this. Sync is the next warp mode we're going to talk about, but it's not being modulated by another oscillator. With sync, as you turn up the warp knob, the speed of the sound wave speeds up, but it's being forced to reset over and over. So it creates this classic laser sound. But Serum 2 upped the stakes by adding this fader down here, which just moves from a hard sync to a soft sync with rounder edges, so it's just a little less harsh and more of a vowel sound. So next we're going to talk about bend. Imagine your waveforms in a rubber band. Bend is going to pull from the middle and stretch everything to the right, bend plus, or everything to the left, bend minus. Half the wave gets super squished, the other half gets super stretched. Really just add some natural character to the sound, and you can use it kind of like a filter envelope. PWM, or pulse width modulation. This is just changing the width of that pulse. So imagine a light switch that's on half the time or off the other half the time. PWM can make it on 10% and off 90%, or any other ratio. Sonically, it takes the wave and just hollows it out, makes it sound kind of thin and incredibly retro. I'm going to do the next three together: asim, flip, and mirror. These are basically the waveform being reflected back onto itself, but what does that sound like? Asim sounds like a detune, kind of like a warble from an old vintage synth. Flip has more of a hollow phaser sound, but it's almost like it's been crossed with a high-pass filter. The mirror reflects half the wave, so it has sort of this 8-bit arcade sound, even with different waveforms. Let's talk about some distortion warps. If you push the volume of a wave too high, it hits a ceiling. And if that ceiling's padded, that's a tube distortion or a soft clip. It's sort of rounded off and smoothed out. And if you hit that ceiling and it's concrete, that's a hard clip. The top of the wave is completely flat, so it has almost kind of a square wave sound. There's also diode 1 and 2, which is like asim but distortion. And that gives you more of a broken, sputtering, kind of electrical crunch. Part 2 of distortion warps. We have the distortions that fold. So as you turn up the knob, the wave gets folded back in on itself over and over again. We have linear fold, and we have sine fold. Super squelchy. There's also wave shaping, where you can draw your own wave. That's just if you want to